Can God bless you with a wife, a husband, or a life partner when you are at the lowest point in your life? When you have hit rock bottom? And if so, why? Well, He is God and nothing is impossible with Him. Here is my story of how God blessed me, when I was the least prepared to have a spouse. I became successful at an early age, and despite my successes, the only thing missing was a life partner. By this time, all my younger siblings and the friends who I grew up with were all married and had families. But needing a husband was always at the forefront of my mind. It was a pressing desire. I prayed, I fasted, but no husband. And I also knew that I needed one who loved the Lord like I did. So I had everything in place. I had a good career, a good education, and so I thought I had everything to bring to the marriage table. Mind you, I was pursued for marriage during this time, but my desire was to find a husband who loved the Lord. And so when I was pursued, I was able to discern very quickly that, these were not the one for me. So I decided to migrate to the US and to further my educational pursuits. However, due to financial difficulties, things spiraled downhill from there, and unfortunately, I had to move to another borough. By so doing, I remembered one day I was walking, taking a walk, and I heard the Lord impressed upon my mind and asked if I was ready to meet one of His sons. The following week, I was at home and it had snowed very heavily. However, I just had this craving, which I had developed for cookies. So I decided to go to the store, although, the snow was heavy on the ground, and to get the cookies that I craved. However, when I got to the store and was in the cookie aisle, I noticed a tall, dark, handsome fellow walking towards me, but he walked by me while smiling. I remembered he looked back at me and then proceeded to exit the store. Somehow I felt that, he was going to be waiting for me outside, and so as not to come across him, I decided to stay a little longer than I would normally do in the aisle. I later checked out, went to the cash register, checked out my purchase. And when I exited the store, there he was waiting for me. He did introduce himself and we exchanged numbers. He, offered to take me out that day, but I declined. Well, here we are 13 years later, and although I wasn't prepared financially and career-wise at that time, but God still was faithful in providing me the desire of my heart, which was a husband who loved Him just as how I loved him, And I am happy that I waited on the Lord, because He is indeed the right one. And thank you for listening.